were talking about before we got started. I hate driving. I hate people teaching to drive for dollars as a marketing method because it's not a marketing method and you're not doing shit. If you're just driving and like building a list and then you don't do anything with it, which the majority of people do, you're not going to get anywhere. And at that point, you're burning money, and someone told you like, "Hey, just go use all your gas money."
Yeah, I think I don't think that people are teaching it as a marketing strategy. I think people are teaching it as a way of getting into real estate with very low cost, but not as marketing, as a way of building a list to market to. I haven't seen someone necessarily say, "Hey, go drive for dollars," but don't do nothing for it. They're
But
either
that's
telling
what
them,
happens, right? Like people drive for dollars.
can't control that. You can't control that. You can tell them to go driving for dollars to build up a list of distressed properties. But at that point, you have to, once you export that list, you have to call the people. You have to either direct mail them by sending the postcards through Driving for Dollars app or whatever it may be, and going from there. Yes, it's not marketing, but it's a way to accumulate a list that no one else has.
I still do not care about people who say they don't have money. Like when they say like, "Oh, I have no money to start." To where like I know the best thing that you should be doing is you should be building your own list, getting Mojo Dialer, getting Mojo on the go, and cold calling while you're driving for dollars and still building that list. Like that is ideally the best situation. Like if you're just fucking driving around, and maybe you're like listening to podcasts and stuff. Like the best thing to do, the only thing that makes you any money is talking to people.
Agreed. So, and I go back and forth with that on calling them on the spot, stuff like that. I do think there's a sense of efficiency. With Driving for Dollars, you do have to make sure that you get enough properties on there to call. You know what I mean? And so if you're sitting there spending all that time skip tracing at the house, cold calling them right there at the house, you're missing out on a chance of being able to go through so many neighborhoods and uploading so many properties onto your app
at the same time. Like you use Propstream, bro.
You skip trace it, do all that one thing at a time. I think it can be confusing and it leaves a lot of room for error when you ask people to do too much at once.
Bro, this shit ain't rocket science.
It's not, but to some it is. I can pull up to a house.
If it's rocket science to you, you ain't gonna make it.
I can pull up to a house, skip trace it, call it right there on the spot using Propstream app, right? But not everyone's. That's a shit ton of information for someone just getting started into it. You say skip tracing to some of these folks, and they're like, you know what I mean? So just the thought of just go look for property right now. When you're done looking for the property, uploading them all onto your app, hit me up. I'll tell you what the next step is. Now you're gonna export it. You're gonna put it into the system.
Massive action all the way. Like massive action needs to happen. Yeah. If you're not taking massive action and talking to people and you're like, "Oh well, I don't know, this is too much," well, bro, you're gonna get fucking burnt alive in business.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't care. Oh well, how big do you want to make it? It doesn't matter, bro. You're still competing. Like you're still competing for deals and like like we collaborate and stuff. But if you're only doing this part time, like oh I don't know, I don't care, blah blah blah. I'm gonna eat you fucking alive, and I'm gonna feed my kids, and I'm gonna go buy another house.
But I feel like it's easy to say that, like they say hindsight's 20/20 and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's easy to look back at it, you know what I mean, or just look how we went at it. Not everyone's gonna be that way. I think that's the beauty.
It's a hyper competitive market.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? So
it is.
Not taking action immediately. And I've been listening to like all these tech podcasts, like I said. When we don't take action immediately, business is killing other businesses. All it is keeping the best margins. I don't care what you're doing, like you guys can make money together, but there's still competition. And you need to get to that deal as fast as possible. You need to get the money as fast as humanly possible or someone else is going to get it. End of story.
Yeah.
End of story. Because guess what? Like if I want to drive for dollars and then they just like, oh, well, I'm going to build this list first. Well, I'm fucking calling all of them. Who wins? Who gets to the money first?
Yeah, of course you got to call them. You got to make sure you actually market to the people on your driving for dollars list that you built up. And yes, ideally they should be calling them immediately. At the end of the day, if I went out and did driving for dollars, built a list, and didn't call that bitch for 2 weeks, I guarantee you I can still get a deal off of that list.
You'll be okay. But I'm
just getting started, like right, I'm not. If I got overhead, you know what I mean. Obviously, ideally, I'd like to make as much as possible as soon as possible to make sure that my overhead and all that shit gets taken care of. But if you're new into it, bro, you go close a deal. Maybe you are the last one to it, but the person just falls in love with you. You make $5,000 on that deal, bro. It done changed your life.
I would much rather you make $50,000 and change your life.